I watched some of our match last night.
Yeah.
You were giving me enough time to recover and get back in. Probably have less than that time today, but not if the locations are good, right?
Agreed. lights or no?
Right now, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, you guys up to you what you want to do, but just
We'll leave it to the old men.
yeah, I just agree amongst yourselves if you want the lights or not. Oh yeah, doesn't matter necessarily to us, but obviously you guys.
What's up?
Morning.
Alright, I have to do a couple token photos.
Overkill the chair, huh? I'd be very uncomfortable. Get a rough hook on Taylor. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, in Indiana, that's 6 seconds break. There was one time. It was a return that went by your partner.
Yeah.
Server called it out. It landed right here.
Yeah. Well, I told
7-6 to the Super Bowl.
I told Allison, I said, or the other one, I goes, yeah, I'm not sure how much the line might have cost.
It'd be tough though with the sun.
They were special. The problem is I'm sitting here looking through the fences like I
Pull your phone out and be like,
and I'm going, they weren't asking me either. So they did very well. Down to the next one. Well, that's, as long as there's time. As long as there's time to match. If you didn't know it, not so good. Oh my God.
you get a hook, you gotta. It's all about how timely the hook is.
You're good.
Well, why? Right.
About 5 to 7 minutes. Pat will call your match, okay? Do you have balls?
I don't think I have a game ball.
I got, here you go. Go these two.
Thank you, sir.
And you can put those on the side if you need to.
Every 7.
Yes. Every 7.
Swap every 7? Sure. Curious, I feel like this is different because that's what I play. So we
Regular scoring, please.
in the quarters of the semis? Yeah. In the quarters, the ball was terrible. Yeah. And in the semis, the ball was fine. That may have been just a different style of play. But my question for you guys is, I find this both ways. Does the warm-up count as a game? Or do you just start with the fresh one after the warm-up? You can't start if they count it as a game, right? No, I guess. Yeah. So we switch after the first 6. And then every time. That's why it's the standard. That's what you did.
Hello and welcome to the APTA's Grand Prix Series, the Chicago Charities, sponsored by the APTA national sponsors Viking, Fusion, and Upswing Health. We are live from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, on the APTA network presented by eNet Live. I'm Jerry Viant, along with Mark Fischel, bringing you the men's final between the number 2 seeds, Peter and Paul Rose, and the number 1 seeds, Brian Compton and Graham McNerney. And Mark, it looks like a beautiful day for paddle, 61 degrees in Chicago, and the stage is set for a very entertaining final.
Well, thanks, Jerry. Let's introduce our players. At the lower part of the screen at the net in the light blue jacket is Paul Rose. He's going to be playing back today, and his brother Pete, who's a valued member of the APTA board and had some significant contributions over the last few years, is in the black shirt and the black hat. On the far side of the net, in the red hat, in the backhand side, on the right side of the screen, is Brian Compton and his partner Graham McNerney in the light blue pants on the left side of the screen. Yesterday was interesting, Jerry, because everybody thought these were the two teams that were most likely to make it through to the finals. But the Rose brothers had an absolute war in their quarterfinal with Granger Landropoulos. Ended up winning, I think, 10-8 in the third set super breaker. And Compton McNerney couldn't have been any different. I mean, their semifinal match yesterday was an exhibition.
So Mark, you commented on both matches. So let's go through the Viking keys to victory. So the Rose brothers, you picked up control the net. How important do you think that is for them?
Yeah, I just don't think that they can beat the really top teams in the country from the backcourt. I think that Brad and I talked a little bit on air last night about the 5 or 6 guys that can really put the ball away on a consistent basis. Durant, Araya, Hughes, Powers, McNerney, Broderick. I mean, that's a really short list, and I think it's one of the things in the men's game that really delineates where guys are in the stratum of the game.
It's a level separator for sure.
Yeah, and McNerney is as good as it gets at the net. I mean, he is just absolutely brilliant up there. The way he floats back and forth, he volleys exceptionally well, and the way he spins the ball. I mean, last night was just a tour de force. It was just unbelievable to see.
So the Rose brothers, to have a really strong shot, have got to stay at net. They can't just be giving up the net too soon. How about the serving?
Same thing. I mean, last night they really struggled in the second set with Steinman's return to serve. I didn't see any adjustment from them. I don't think they really thought they could lose that match last night. But today they're just going to have to do a better job, especially against Compton, who rips the ball off of both wings. And if they're going to be chasing down a lot of balls on return to serve, that's not their strength. They need to be at the net to beat these good teams because they volley exceptionally well. That's their strength as a team. And
then, of course, embrace the moment. This is the Rose brothers, or Pete Rose's home club. So how exciting for him to be there.
Yeah.
And just on a personal note, congratulations to Pete Rose that they had their 5th child 5 weeks ago. Little Janie arrived in the Rose household. So Pete, who's on the right, congratulations, and I'm sure he's got his hands full.
Yeah, I mean, when Pete first started playing, you had to know that winning Charities at his home club was a dream for him. I mean, doesn't everybody dream about winning their home tournaments?
For sure.
So I don't know, they've ever been to the finals of Charities. It's a big moment for them. It's not what Charities has been in past years, and we can talk about that a little bit as we go on. But it's still Charities,
right?
Which historically has been the second biggest tournament of the season.
And while the players are still just getting ready, keys for Compton and McNerney, so play their role. So this is talk a little bit about, this is not their usual partner. McNerney usually plays with Monik Chavinsky, who's not playing this weekend.
Yeah, I was so impressed yesterday. I mean, it was like a classic ATP doubles team where...
On my left is Pete Rose and Paul Rose. On the right is Graham McNerney and Brian Compton. The score will be traditional scoring, 2 out of 3 sets, tiebreakers at 6-6.
McNerney's lob. I think McNerney's just got to, as I said earlier, just set up the point for Compton, because Compton brings as much offense from the backcourt as virtually anybody in the country. I mean, he drives the ball off both the backhand and the forehand, and has just got tremendous power and weapons back there. And then control the tempo is, the faster the match to me, the better it is for Compton McNerney.
Pete Rose to serve.
Okay, so it
All
looks
right,
like
looks
they're
like, yeah, Pete Rose is getting ready to serve. And it's regular 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring. So here we go.
Go.
I think I was cut off, Jerry, when I was talking about them as a classic ATP doubles team,
Yeah.
and talking about how, one guy plays the net, one guy plays the backcourt, which isn't in their alternate places, but that Compton is just unbelievable in the backcourt and McNerney is unbelievable at the net.
And that's what Compton loves to do. He's really aggressive on that ad side. He comes up the side screen and just unloads with that two-handed backhand.
Yeah, that side wire. I remember playing a tournament with Michael Montalbano against Drew Broderick, and I said, if Drew is lying on the ground with bleeding, do not hit the ball to a side wire. And that's a little bit of Compton. You can't hit the ball over there. That's the ball he loves so much.
15 all.
So let's try to identify early, like where, it's so important that you pointed out that the Rose brothers have to maintain net position. So where on the court can they put the ball? And I think it's down to a few boards. Can they put the ball where they're not going to get hurt, besides Compton's backhand?
Yeah, I think the ball's got to go towards McNerney. Make Compton beat them with his forehand, which is a good shot, but it's not his backhand. The problem with playing McNerney a lot when he's in the backcourt is it's very hard for right-handers to play the deuce court player.
And here you see he's in the ad side, so he's very comfortable on both sides.
And normally plays the ad side with
right, that's what I was just going to say. So they're not looking, then they're going to switch back because they want to set up that backhand of Compton.
And Paul Rose will cut the ball periodically, but for the most part, the Rose brothers tend to be meat and potatoes at the net. They don't tend to put the ball away a lot. A lot of low driving overheads.
And Paul Rose, who's on the right, has that kind of chop overhead. He's got a sneaky little cut on it.
Oh. Now you'll see. So there you saw Compton kind of taking over at the backcourt. And now you see McNerney taking over at the net. Look, all the movement he's creating with his shots.
Yeah.
And that's the type of point I don't think the Roses can afford to play, that scramble style. You saw Pete try and spike a ball as he was backing up, kind of out of position a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, at hitting anything off pace, a floater to McNerney, forget it. If they're going to lob, they have to lob really well, high and deep.
30, 40.
And Compton puts so much pressure on your overheads. And that's the other thing we didn't talk about that McNerney does exceptionally well is his blitzing. He loves to blitz on the high lobs and the return of serve.
I'm surprised Pete didn't go back behind Compton on that. He had him all the way up.
Yeah. I guess he expected McNerney to be over there covering back behind him. Like the wrong foot McNerney.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of let him off the hook.
And Graham is such a terrific student of the game. Really a purpose to every shot he hits.
So the Rose brothers are doing a good job with their overhead placement. like that slash overhead that Pete's hitting is in the last 2 feet of the court, except for that one, of course. There we go. He's really taking away the opportunity for them to attack on a short ball. Because he sets his paddle by his shoulder, Pete Rose, and lets that ball drop down, as opposed to taking his paddle up to the ball. And that's really important to be able to get the overhead deep. There's that little chop from Paul Rose.
Okay, both teams look sharp to me early, Jerry.
Yeah, it's fun.
A couple of misses from McNerney, and that's what I talked about in terms of play their roles. Graham's the setup guy in the backcourt. And there he's missed a couple of balls, two of the last 3 points.
So you'd be looking, if you were the Rose brothers, you'd be looking to get McNerney to hit a drive that he's not comfortable with.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of young players make is they think that they want to hit their overhead so their opponent can't drive the ball, but that's not the case. You want them driving the ball. You just want them driving the ball on your terms, not their terms.
Right. Good control of the pace and the speed on both teams right now.
A lot of short lobs from Compton McNerney. That's the first one that's driven him out of the service box at this point.
Intentional, probably, to see if they could get a quick down-up overhead?
Maybe. The Roses don't tend to hit a lot of those. So that's 3 consecutive errors from McNerney in the backcourt.
Rose, they lead 1-0 first set.
I should note that McNerney handles some of the APTA highlight videos, and I suspect that none of those 3 forehands will be on it.
So we just want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Upswing Health. It's a digital sports medicine company that puts an orthopedic specialist at your fingertips. Upswing Health has a free AI-powered diagnostic tool designed by orthopedic surgeons that you can use to identify your injury. You can learn how they can treat your injury or even prevent another one with their free therapy programs, or even speak with a medical professional. So go to upswinghealth.com/APTA. And Mark, I think we need to remind everybody that we are at the Glenview Club where the skeet shooting is happening. And that's the sound that you hear in the background.
Well, it's definitely not Graham McNerney's forehand. Let's leave it at that. So, Jerry, we talked a little bit just about Pete Rose, how good his backhand is. His forehand is a little bit more of a continental grip, so he likes that ball like that one. It can hit high to low. He doesn't drive the low ball particularly well on the forehand side. So I expect to see him getting a steady diet of them. He loves the down-up overhead. Now you see McNerney and Compton kind of switching at the net. Oh, that's a great cut winner from Paul Rose there.
That is. That'll make the highlight reel.
15-30.
Well, maybe, potentially. I mean, I don't know if Graham wants to see himself chasing a ball down and not getting it.
Well, you can come in and Mark and override him on that, because she had that ball broke. It had good jump on it. So Pete Rose is finding the hole there with his backhand drive between the 2 players.
And also, interestingly, both times that McNerney served to Paul Rose, he's kind of stayed back and taken a look at it and then drove the ball back off the back wire. That's a lot of respect for Rose's game, because McNerney's one of the best volleyers in the country. There's the switch to their customary sides. Yeah, so that's the spot they got to avoid.
30 all.
That was a bit of an unforced error because it wasn't a deep lob that pushed him back off the net. Pete Rose just had a bad volley that just kind of sat up there, bad overhead that sat up there for Compton. Those transition balls are so tough. I mean, Pete Rose had a chance to hit McNerney there, and Graham's fairly quick, even with his bad knee. But that's a chance to end a point. Here, now you're back to even square.
There's that cut. It's like a chop that Paul Rose. He keeps the ball deep and low in the court. It's very effective.
So one of the things the Roses are doing, they're hitting soft overheads to McNerney and harder overheads to Compton. Because they fear Compton off the deck.
Right.
They want McNerney to drive the ball. There's one that got soft to McNerney, and they paid for it. To Compton. Unclear whether that hit Rose or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I heard McNerney say your
Advantage
call.
Rose.
Okay, so it's now advantage Rose, so it's 30-40.
You.
And there's some good deep lobs by Paul Rose out of that ad side.
And at the net, it's the reverse, as we talked about, where they're going to be trying to find Compton as much as possible. There's no way the Compton hit that probably wasn't his ball.
Lob volley grab by Pete Rose there from mid-court.
Great play from Pete Rose. That was brilliant. Yeah, I'm surprised we saw Compton hit a lot more overheads in that sequence, Jerry. Whereas last night he was almost behind McNerney, getting out of the way and letting McNerney hit everything. This big point for the Rose brothers. Close out 2 games in a row. Oh, that's some move there from Compton.
Nice.
All sorts of
nice
trouble.
hands, nice feet.
We had such a great view of it, too.
Right, and he never lost sight of the ball.
Again, you see all these hard balls into Compton, much softer into McNerney. All right, blitzed him. Great recovery.
Compton just lays in wait for that move.
And there you see McNerney jumping on the net. Both Compton and McNerney, as soon as they saw Rose lining up, both were on top of the net. And then Rose misses the forehand.
That was a great transition.
Score is deuce.
That was a good ball for Rose to swing at, just missed it. So far, the Rose brothers doing a great job of keeping them off balance at the net, Jerry.
Yeah, they look really solid and very comfortable.
Not letting McNerney set up and hit a lot of cuts. Great blitz there from Paul Rose. Probably a low percentage volley from shoe tops, but pulled it off. I formation that we talked about. Great rolling overheads there from Compton.
Score is deuce.
But McNerney is so dangerous when he's on top of the net, Jerry. He puts away so many balls.
You know, Pete Rose did a great job of chasing that little nick in the back. But if you can't lob it up high, McNerney's waiting right there. Good combination of play.
Great turn from Paul Rose there. You see McNerney staying back again there as he gets that hard overhead. Great ball from Pete Rose, and they're up 2-love to start.
Rose, they lead 2-love first set.
So clearly the Rose brothers' tactics, lobbing Compton at net. He's at net, keeping it away from McNerney, who can hurt them and finish points. And in the backcourt, keeping it away from Compton, who's looking to set himself up, sneak up that backside screen.
The Rose brothers survived the exchange. See them switching the net to get McNerney's overhead in the middle.
Oh,
Great ball from Paul Rose.
just cannot get caught up in that. I mean,
15.
McNerney is hanging over the net.
Yep.
Great drop.
It's 2 drop shots and 2+ games, he said, for winners. Compton was firing away. That last forehand was a low ball. I hit it great. Had so little margin.
Set no pace overhead to McNerney. Trying to get him to drive a ball that he might not be as comfortable with.
And look at how soft and short these overheads from the Roses are.
Yeah.
Because they're asking McNerney to drive the ball. So interesting, what's a good shot to one player is a bad shot to another.
Exactly, and that's, I mean, that is a huge part of the game, is identifying where those boards are on the court that you're gonna be able to hit.
There's a great lob for McNerney.
You know, it's one thing to have a plan, but you have to be able to execute your shots to play your plan.
I think that's something the Rose brothers are exceptionally good at. Knowing when their plan's working, knowing when it's not. Sticking with it if it is working. Okay, so that ball is a low ball. Kind of forced Compton into a low percentage drive.
Not the he's usually looking to sneak up the side screen, when that one came off of the back side. So his momentum wasn't going as forward as much.
That's such an example of the modern game, that last point where Paul Rose knew he'd hit a serve too hard, so he just stayed back, got driven through, and then he drove it back and took over the net without exposing himself to having to make that difficult first volley. I see too many league players just insisting on coming in behind their serves.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially it's like 60, it's in the 60s, so that ball is bouncing up, it's more lively. You've got options. You've got to get yourself into the play on your point. You know, serve, return first volley, or stay back if you're not making that first volley. Look at different combinations. You know, give your opponents a different look.
Okay, so you saw Pete Rose call that ball wide on himself. 15-30.
Ha!
Oh, what a dig!
And shot!
See how low McNerney had his paddle to the ground there? Compton had his paddle to the ground, Jerry?
Yep. Now look at all these overheads that these guys have just hit.
Oh, what a volley from Pete Rose.
Yep. And Mark, I don't know if you saw that there were 3 out of those 4 overheads were in the last 2 inches of the court. They're just pinning McNerney and Compton back.
There's a great forehand from McNerney. Whoa, that was a surprising miss. I wonder if Paul thought Pete was going to hit that ball. He kind of flinched at it a little bit, Jerry.
Yeah, there was a hesitation. All right, break
When is
point
Pete's 6th
opportunity.
children? When does Pete's 6th child do, Jerry?
Mark, don't cause trouble.
I think it's 30-40 here, not 40-30. Yeah, you see some shadows in the court now as the sun's coming out.
And that'll be Compton McNerney will be looking into the sun.
Go, go.
And again, there's that slow, soft-paced overhead that they're pushing into McNerney.
And you see Compton cheating over,
Go, go, go.
coming almost to the center hash. There he was. Step.
Go. Go, go. Go. Sorry.
You heard a double go-go there.
Score is deuce.
Pete Rose, anytime you hear your opponent calling a couple of times on who's going to take the overhead, you know you've hit a good lob.
No.
Good swing by Compton, just missed it.
Advantage Rose.
All right, point for a 3-love lead.
Okay. Don't worry about cutting. Yep.
Deuce.
Go, go. Give it. Go. Go, go.
These early games are so important for the Rose brothers, Jerry. I just think their margin is much smaller than Compton McNerney's today for path to victory. A phrase we've heard a little bit over the last 4 or 5 days.
Are you surprised that McNerney is lobbing so many balls at this point in the middle of the court and cross court, as opposed to down the line to get Compton more looks?
Absolutely. I mean, early on you talked about, yep, there's the game. Early on you talked about looking for the down-up overhead, but the Roses don't tend to hit a lot of down-up overheads.
Right.
Alright,
Not at all. Oh, and there's that
There's the
break.
spec-
Yeah,
So
that's
Top
from
winner.
Paul Roses. Yeah.
I had it at deuce. Alright. Sorry,
This was just
advantage
amazing,
Rose.
this get
Poor
here.
guys.
Yep. But
Looks like
he
he's
keeps
beaten
his
here.
eye on it.
Yep. Caught the seam. Great athleticism.
Had his paddle set the whole time. Oh, what a grab by Pete Rose.
Score is
So
deuce.
apparently
Not
it
only-
wasn't game before at 2-love. I don't know why they were changing sides. I thought it was add in, add out.
No, I think it was game. They're
Paul
on the
Rose
other
was
side.
surfing.
Yeah, but they're on the other side.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's 2-love, add in now
Advantage
for Paul Rose.
Okay.
I think they were confused as to why they switched. Again, that's an overhead Compton's hitting. That's probably not his ball. Good lob.
Guard.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to punish that waterfall overhead.
But
Well,
notice
maybe-
they did not come in behind that ball, because the ball that was coming off the back screen that Paul Rose hit was so high and so hard that they would have got caught in transition. So even though he spiked it through and caused Compton to go back and get it, they stayed back. And that's just having complete court awareness and knowing which balls to come in and keeping themselves out of trouble.
And other than Scott Kaler, Graham McNerney probably hits more waterfall overs than anybody in the country. Please check out Scott Kaler's article in PTM on the waterfall overhead, because nobody knows more about that than Scott Kaler. He's also great at punishing them, which always makes me wonder why he hits so many of them. Big backhand from Compton there, and here comes the forehand. And a couple reaching volley errors from Pete Rose there.
Yeah.
McNerney, Rose.
I mean, he got away with that higher one where he cut it off and actually controlled a beautiful volley back behind Compton a couple of points ago. But it's really hard to control a reaching volley from below the level of the net. So Compton
about
McNerney
margins for
on
these
the
guys.
board.
That's what I talk about margins, Jerry. That's a game the Roses had 2-3 game points, could have closed the game out, and didn't. And here we are now back on serve. Not that serve is going to mean much today. And this is a great example of what you're talking about, Jerry, where McNerney's literally standing on the net. And you just cannot drive that ball. Now, it was a tough ball for Pete Rose to run down, but you have to know that McNerney's going to be standing there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you just got to flick it up. If you can get your paddle on it, you know, loose wrist, and just flick it up as high as you can, because McNerney's got that go-go gadget arm with a soft touch.
Okay, so you can see Compton warming up the sidearm serve, and they're in the Australian formation.
Love 15.
Same thing on the ad side to Paul Rose. And these are the points they don't want to play.
Exactly. When you hit that lob and McNerney can step into the overhead like that in the service box, he's just got so many options to win the point with that shot.
30-15.
All right, speed of
That
play
Rose's bread
favors
and butter.
Compton McNerney.
Just keep an eye on that grip change from McNerney. He goes to that really extreme grip. You know, he's really looking to cut the ball.
Yeah, McNerney has hit all of these overheads inside the service box.
And there's also we talking about where Pete Rose cannot drive that ball from that deep. Lucky he survived that exchange. You can see him switching that grip over there to the extreme grip. He's really almost under the ball. Catches the nick. It's fourth or fifth ball that McNerney's put away, and we haven't played 4 games.
And Paul Rose started lobbing cross court. The plan that we thought was going to be for him to lob down the line and have Compton hitting the overheads, not McNerney.
I'm not exactly sure what that drop shot was there. Something that could be called a drop shot. A little high, a little deep.
Oh,
Blitz there from McNerney.
he's
Just missed
sneaky.
the volley.
He's sneaky for a big guy, right?
Yep.
3 steps and he's boom right there on the blitz.
You see his paddle was just in perfect position there. There, Compton went overhand with the serve. Rose missed another backhand. See, those are the type of backhands Pete can't afford to miss today. Missed a couple that game when they were in, positions to take advantage and failed to do so. And all of a sudden, after a good start, it's back to 2-all. And you feel like the Rose brothers have played very well, and Compton McNerney haven't found their footing yet, but it's 2-all.
The Rose brothers went away from the game plan. And they allowed McNerney to hit that net.
I go. Go, help me.
Oh,
Great
careful.
movement from Compton. And there again, you see them getting into the game too much with Compton, which is not where they want to be. If they're going to play short points, they're going to lose. 5-hole. So great example there, Jerry. You're in the exchange. That's a ball that Pete Rose got to lob, start the point over, grind. You're not going to beat these guys in transition.
I go.
Love 30 here. Rose is starting to get in a little trouble again. Do not like the flow of points right now for them. overheads to McNerney are much harder now. Gotten away from that
Yeah,
soft overhead.
Yep, Mark, they've definitely gone away with what was working. And they're playing into the hands of Compton McNerney right now. One with the speed of play.
That's 2 there from Pete Rose.
Go. Go.
Sure, I guess we don't call but Pete and Paul, kind of like Venus and Serena.
Sorry, Mark, you broke up. I didn't hear it.
I don't think we need to use their last names today.
Okay.
Good forehand
Paul?
there from
Love
McNerney.
40.
Love 40. Boy, that was fast, Jerry. I mean, I don't know if Kelly Diesel's got a timer on those 2 games, but 3 minutes?
Is it more a function of Pete and Paul? Right? Is it more a function of that they went away from their game plan?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't being forced. There's nothing. Compton McNerney haven't done anything different.
Jerry, why don't you talk about this grip here?
Oh, see how he comes? He's completely come around, and he can cut under the ball. Of course, he gets the nick on it. We'll have to do it frame by frame.
Almost the Eastern backhand.
Yeah. Here we go.
Of course, the nick had little to do with the grip, but it was a great overhead, regardless. Okay, McNerney to serve 3-2. So they were saying that it's been 31 minutes they played. I'd say the first 3 games took 25 minutes. The last 2 games took 6, 5, 3.
Yeah.
You see McNerney trying to create movement with his overhead. There's the 3rd panel slam. So that's the ball I think Compton shouldn't be taking.
I think they're trying to bait Pete into hitting that.
Great duck there from Compton. Confidence in his partner.
I mean, yesterday there was a lot of duck and weave happening. I thought Compton was going to get clocked a couple of times.
Yeah, he was ducking from McNerney's paddle yesterday.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And there you hear Compton talking to McNerney, letting him know nobody's coming behind. That's a good ball from Pete Rose. Now that was a much smarter transition from those guys. Didn't try and come in the first one. Interesting how far off the net Compton plays, Jerry.
Yeah, he's way back.
You. I go. Hit.
They saw him hold that ball. Great hands by Pete Rose.
McNerney, forget it. Yep, his backhand volley under pressure. He has such great control.
How do you miss?
Off of a bullet drive. His hands are so quiet. He pretty much 9 out of 10 times he deflects any drive with his backhand volley. He hits it straight and deep and slow in the court.
There, you see McNerney jumping on the net, low ball. That's a ball Rose got to lob. That goes to the tempo we talked about. Because if that goes over, McNerney's in perfect position anyway.
Right. It was in the last foot of the court.
38 all.
It's a good forehand from Pete Rose, that high to low ball.
40.
And lined up McNerney's right hip.
This is a really big point for the Rose brothers.
Go.
Great ball there from Paul. Paul's backhand is just gorgeous, isn't it, Jerry? Oh, what a blitz.
Nice
McNerney.
position.
Oh, Paul did such a good job of avoiding getting hit and then missed the lob. Did all the hard work.
A scramble.
Score is
Those
deuce.
are the points that determine who win and lose paddle matches. Rose has had the advantage there a couple of times, but just couldn't close the deal.
All right, back to deuce.
We talked yesterday about how hard it is to serve in this warm weather, Jerry, because the ball just comes flying out, and that's a ball Pete Rose makes 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it was going across his body, and he stopped moving with it and just swung down. He needed to keep going forward with the ball.
Another big return from Paul Rose. That backhand is really doing some damage.
That's a smart. He took the
Vantage
pace
Rose.
off of that return to serve.
Not a volley you expect to see McNerney miss.
No, but it was a reaching volley.
No.
Those are the areas that will just kill you, Jerry.
Score is deuce.
Okay, I'm here. Okay.
Advantage McNerney.
Paul's got to be wondering right now which team Pete's on.
Yeah, that hurts, man.
Paul's just played a brilliant game.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, the Rose brothers, Pete and Paul, really have to do a good job of maintaining their tempo. They're getting caught up a little bit, you know, with Compton McNerney's pace, and just go back, recalibrate, reset to how they played the first part of this set. Otherwise, it's going to be all Compton McNerney.
Paul Rose is just on fire right now. I think Pete's got to recognize that and try and get him a few more swings.
Nobody.
Well, he just hit 2 really good lobs.
Hit.
Oh,
That was aggressive.
Advantage Rose.
that was a bounce hit bullet. He took time away.
Okay, another game point for the Rose brothers. Good ball there from Pete. Paul is just ripping everything
Yeah,
right now.
he is. High percentage through the middle.
You really want to see the Rose brothers back to their game plan here. Soft overheads to McNerney, hard overheads to Compton. Yep, but then they hit a soft overhead down the middle. Compton gets the forehand.
Score is deuce.
And that's
So-
what we mean by getting away from their game plan.
Exactly, and also being executed. I mean, we're at a level, skill level like this, we're talking about 2 or 3 boards, right? That was the 3rd board over, away from the area that they're trying to keep to McNerney, and Compton just pounced.
And again, that's a ball I think Pete Rose got a lob.
Yeah, he kind of like half swung at it.
No real conviction there.
Game, Compton McNerney.
That was a big hold for
4-2
Compton
first set.
McNerney.
That was the first return Paul missed. 8-10 points. But again, you know, those games could have gone either way. Both the 2-love game and the 2-3 and the 3-2 game from the Compton McNerney perspective, and the Rose brothers ended up losing both of them. They're being up 4-2, they're down 4-2. It's just a function of playing those big points as smart as you can play them. Go with what you do best. Good return there from McNerney.
Love 15.
And that forehand can come and go. Boy, it's going fast
30.
again. You can almost set your clock. If the points go fast, Compton, McNerney, you're going to win them.
Love 40.
That was a beautifully placed return of serve by McNerney. Again, not trying to hit the winner, but he just got the reaching error. Kick that return of serve down the line.
15, 40.
Just great action.
Game, Compton, McNerney. They lead 5-2 first set.
And we'd like to take this second to thank one of our sponsors. Fusion Sports is your source for high-end customer apparel. Fusion offers pro shop management, tournament favors, corporate branded gear, and youth sports. Fusion is the official apparel and favor supplier of the APTA. So Mark, 5-2.
Yeah, it's pretty clear, Jerry. I mean, the Rose brothers are coming up with some great shots, but the speed of play is just too fast for them right now.
One of the replays.
Just a wonderful volley from Paul, catching McNerney leading to the middle. That's 5 games in a row they've lost, Jerry. And we talked earlier about how good the Rose brothers are, understanding what's going on the court, understanding when their strategy is working or it isn't working. And today they seem to have gotten away from what I thought was a very effective strategy to start the match.
Absolutely. I mean, they started when they were in the backcourt. They were finding Compton, hitting the overheads, taking McNerney out of it. And once McNerney gets his
15 love.
paddle on the ball and he's on top of the net, he has so many ways to win the point.
Paul read the nick there, but just missed it.
Right, but they put so much pressure on you to hit a bigger shot than you really need to.
Whoa, that made a lot of noise. Cage was going to fall down. Oh, nifty play from Pete there. And again, when McNerney's up there, yeah, just.
Yep,
but the whole point was like that.
Once the chase starts, he's just all over. You've got to stop this freight train here.
Triple set point here.
Rip down the line.
Oh, great play from McNerney. McNerney blitzes again.
$40-15.
So it takes to win a point, Jerry.
Paul Rose really. I've seen him hit a lot more backhands down the line than I have today. I thought that was his favorite shot.
40-30.
2 set points saved. There it is, game in first set.
Compton,
McNerney. Jerry, Brian Compton's one of the few guys that really alternates between the sidearm serve and the overhand serve. We've seen Johan do it a little bit, but Johan only does it when the sidearm serve's not working. Compton will just move it around a little bit. Brad was talking yesterday about how you can see guys have maybe 3 different types of serves.
Yeah.
And the serve we haven't seen this year that I'm most excited to see is Martin Bostrom's new serve.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
It goes about 15 feet in the air, and it has a lot of spin. And if he hits it right, you have to catch it on the half volley. Otherwise, it bounces back over the net and lands middle of his own service box.
I mean, that's the evolution of the game, especially in like the last 5 years, where these players are just putting more and more spin on the ball. It's so fun.
It is. It's like the game is quantum leap.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a look at the calendar, see where we're headed from here? And when I say headed
Yes,
from here,
well,
I mean hopefully headed from here.
Yeah, like we spoke earlier that APTA has pivoted, due to the COVID. We originally had 5 tournaments on the Grand Prix Tour, and when we saw that we just weren't able to travel, changed the calendar and put 4 tournaments in the Midwest and 4 tournaments in the Northeast, and we're at Chicago Charities, and next up we'll be on Long Island. December
Long
5th.
Island is the fourth and fifth. The women are Friday, the men Saturday. And I should note that the Hinsdale tournament is very much in question with all of the strenuous rules, which I absolutely admire and applaud in Illinois. It's somewhat questionable as to whether we'll be able to have another Grand Prix event there, which is only open for Illinois residents.
Which is what this tournament. Did we talk about that today?
We didn't.
I'm not sure.
We should talk about that. So
Yeah.
due to the rules in the state of Illinois, residents from outside of the state were not allowed to participate in the event this year. And we talked yesterday on air, Jerry. I just want to say, kudos to Amin Kadari, Ann Sheedy, Tiernan Gavana. The ability to put on these events in this COVID era is just nothing short of remarkable to me. There's so many hurdles, so many obstacles. You see it today with the lack of the umpires, which we didn't have yesterday. The players playing in pods, keeping the men and the women separate, lunch issues. Just being able to host a tournament under all of those onerous rules is just remarkable.
Yeah, we've got the state and the clubs. Each club's policy is different. The huts are closed except for the bathrooms for the players, and everybody's being very mindful and like you said, I mean, it is the logistics to pull this off, and for us to also to be able to stream and bring it live. We're thrilled to be able to do the remote commentating and still showing. Showcasing, and it's been actually fun to showcase the top players in Illinois.
Yeah. Well, right now, the absence of Marek Chavinsky, there's not much question in my mind who the top 2 players in Illinois are. They're on the near side of the court right now.
Number 1 and 2 seeds. Okay, so I think Pete Rose here needs to calm down and not swing at the balls where his weight is falling backwards, and just try to set up Paul a little bit more. He's made some unforced errors. Just get himself mentally back into competing in this match. See if they can get back to that speed of play where they were hitting slower, deeper overheads to McNerney.
Love 15.
I think it's important that they get a hold here in this first game.
They've lost 6 games in a row. That's great pace of an overhead there.
15-all.
That was the reverse. When McNerney's beating you with forehands and Compton's beating you with the overheads, you got trouble.
So that swinging overhead into the neck.
McNerney's just so brazen with his court position, Jerry. So confident in his hands.
And he's also got Compton. Yeah, he's got Compton to cover. So when you have a player that's that fast and has quick hands.
Like he was in real trouble there, but he had the answers.
Go.
15.
I see Pete's getting just a little frustrated. I mean, he needs to take a moment here.
Big forehands from McNerney this game.
Go. Go.
Oh,
Just can't afford to do that.
Game. Compton
Viking has
McNerney
unrivaled
lead
paddle
by
lineup
7
depth,
sets.
3 paddle
One
families,
first,
each
6
family
two.
featuring 3 models, the Pro, the Light, and the Prodigy. 9 adult paddles with different weights, core densities, and overall hitting surfaces to address all levels of paddle. Vibrant gradients and bold modern color palette lead the way for the upcoming season. All paddles are hand-painted, giving each its own unique look. No gimmicks, just the best ball striking paddles in the game, the official paddles of the APTA. Yeah, the Rose brothers don't have great body language right now, Jerry. That was not a great game.
yeah, McNerney hit a little deeper, higher lob than normal, and Paul just pushed it long. So really important that they get their energy level back up and feel like they are in this match. Right now, the momentum is all Compton McNerney.
Love 15.
Compton missed that one, but that's the type of point they like to play, that fast transition style. Great play from Pete there, tagging Compton and then disingenuously apologizing. Oh, boy.
Got out of there.
Paul was lucky there.
That was going to be big trouble for Paul.
Okay, love 40, chance to stop the freight train. And there you saw one of the things that's very common in the men's game these days is the players like to allow their opponents to drive the ball down the line because that's an easy ball to play off the back wire as opposed to the cross-court one, which is more difficult to drive.
Back to the more of the tempo early that we saw in the first set.
Big dig there from Compton. And that sound, as we talked about in the first set, is the skeet shooting range, which is just off the court, across the golf course. Yeah, so they got McNerney to bite on a ball that he's 3 feet behind the baseline. Want him to hit that ball. 1-all.
And all set up by that slower pace deep overhead.
It's a big forehand from McNerney. He's feeling better about that shot this set, despite that last miss. Again, you just see the margin for the Rose brothers is so much smaller. They've just got to do everything right. But that's the McNerney forehand we all know and love.
15, 30.
Well, that serve had a big kick on it. Came
That must have been it.
up on him.
Great volley there from Paul.
This is very similar to the first couple of games of the first set for the Rose brothers.
Much better tempo.
Listen, they have to play this way in order to have a chance to get into this second set.
Go, go.
Great close from Pete Rose there, and again they baited McNerney into hitting the ball they wanted him to hit.
I mean, just mentally, you just have to have a game plan and you have to stick with it.
No. Short. Oh.
40, 30.
Look how early Compton sets up. I mean, he loads his legs, and that paddle is set before the ball hits the court. So everything, when that ball bounces, everything is moving forward.
Again, too deep in the court. You can see where he's like 4 feet behind the baseline trying to hit that forehand. And that was the play the Roses have to stay with. Soft the deep McNerney, make him beat them with a forehand. And he may beat them. But if they're making the right strategy on a percentage basis, forcing their opponents to hit the shots that most benefit them,
Right.
that's what strategy's all about.
Exactly. So that's what I had asked you before earlier in the first set. Was it more a function of the Rose brothers going away from their game plan than Compton McNerney just coming up with big shots? You know, they kind of, when they can just shut them down. I mean, this is how they have to hang in and recognize what's working for them and not get caught up in the pace and going for bigger shots.
100%. It's like in basketball. If you play the Golden State Warriors and Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala are hitting their three-pointers, then you're going to lose. But you don't want to lose to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You want to lose to the lesser guys making their shots, just like both the Lakers this year. And that sequence there from the Rose brothers was much better. McNerney may beat them with his forehand, but they're far more likely to win if they force him to do that than if they feed the ball to Compton.
All right, so
Okay,
now let's
1-2.
take a look now, because with the earlier game, also when they isolated and they took McNerney out of the net play, they had their chances. They were focusing on lobbing to Compton. So let's see what happens here.
2 faults in a row from McNerney, and I noticed he's kind of flexing that leg a little bit. I wonder if the knee's bothering him. I don't know if I mentioned he's due for arthroscopic surgery after this. Yeah, we will not be seeing him in Long Island, although I don't think we would have seen him in Long Island regardless because of the rules. But I expect him to see him back in January. Hopefully in March, assuming we have a Nationals.
Switching.
Yeah, he does look like he's moving a little, his legs a little stiffer than the start of the match.
He's a guy that really relies on his movement and his legs when he loads on overheads.
The Rose brothers are doing a good job, but they've totally taken out Compton's ability to sneak up the side and take that backhand on the rise.
Good.
And they've taken that out of play.
Go.
See how Paul just chops down the back of the ball on that overhead.
Good.
It's interesting, Jerry, that two-handed roller that a lot of the guys hit at the net these days on their backhands has really kind of changed the positioning at the net.
Yes.
Go.
Used to be if you hit a backhand overhead, it was an indication you're out of position. Now you see so many of these guys hitting them intentionally. Mark Parsons started it with that roller. It's just great tempo from the Rose brothers. It's exactly the style they've got to play.
Speed of play and placement. Their placement is back. Deep in the court. And not giving them anything to work with. Nothing too hard. Nothing too short.
Go.
There's a big forehand, and again, that's what happens when they miss their board, they miss their spot.
But what happened, McNerney hit a really deep cross-court lob and got Pete Rose to hit the backhand down up. And that's what let Compton come in. The placement of McNerney's lob there set up that play.
It's getting too fast for the Rose brothers. See if they can regroup. Oh, great lob there.
Oh, that's so tempting. McNerney had the play set up, but once that ball starts going down at your feet, better off to let it go through.
Okay, so similar to the first set, Rose brothers off to a good start, 3-1. See if they can maintain their plan. And Jerry, as opposed to what Mike Tyson said about, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, they didn't get punched in the face in the first set. They just kind of went away from it on their own, as you pointed out.
Right. Mark, how many other sports are you going to mention today? We've got basketball. We've had boxing. Yeah.
The day is young, Jerry. We go to 3 sets.
No, it's impressive. The knowledge that you have with all things sports. My hat's off to you.
I go.
There's the switch at net. McNerney's on the left.
Great blitz from Pete Rose there. Kind of forced the error.
15 love.
The deep lob from his brother.
Yeah, but you saw McNerney had his paddle set, and it was almost like he was waiting to see if Rose was going to come in.
Go.
Beautiful volley by Paul Rose.
Go. 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 Go.
So now you see McNerney Compton has switched in the backcourt, and they're still playing McNerney, even though he's on the ad side.
See Paul Rose every once in a while get a little handy with his volleys.
Yeah, but McNerney, he normally plays the ad side, so he's very comfortable over there. Oh!
Swing and a miss.
30-15. 15.
But that swing was perfect technique.
That's what I say when I miss Tim. Rose catch ball. Pete catches the nick on the transition ball. Out with McNerney lurking up there.
Couple of points for a 4-1 lead, Mark.
Interesting, Jerry. They switched sides after playing a really poor first game, and their body language wasn't good, and now they got a chance to win 4 consecutive games. Catches another nick, and it's 4-1.
Game, Rose. They lead 4-1, second set.
That's the great thing about paddle, right? Find a way. Have your strategy, see what's working, find a way. You can isolate, you can freeze a player out, you can isolate and identify. But you've got to, in order for these guys to execute a strategy, they have practiced these skills. You have to be able, you can see, you have to be able to hit that ball on those 3 or 4 boards. Otherwise, it's going to let the other player back into the game. So when you're out there practicing, now don't just play practice games. Drilling one-on-one, is just the best for making improvements in your game. Being able to pick spots on the court and hit, 8, 9, 10 in a row so that you can place the ball where it needs to be in order to execute your plan. And for me, that's what Pete and Paul, they got away. They started out with the right game plan. They got away with it. They got away from it after the first 2 games. They started to play at the speed of play that Compton McNerney liked to play at, started to make some unforced errors. And now they're back to the game plan, back to the speed of play. We haven't seen Compton hit any of those huge 2-handed backhands creeping up the side screen.
And it happened so unexpectedly after losing 7 consecutive games.
Yeah, like you said, their body language was terrible. I thought we were going to be out of here in another 15 minutes.
You were thinking about water.
That way.
Well, let's see if they can maintain it.
Mark, you are a funny guy.
Great ball there from Pete Rose.
15 off.
He loves that high ball.
So Compton McNerney are going to want to pick up the pace, get some movement, get some cut shots, get some drop shots, create havoc.
And Jerry, why don't you elaborate on that point a little bit? How do they pick up the pace?
I think you could hit some backside, some hard 3-panel slams. Create movement, create a scramble that gets McNerney on top of the net. So, really, they're going to bait them by getting them to hit harder and faster. Use the screens to do that.
Who's exceptionally good at that? Juan Araya is good at that. He'll just hit a hard overhead, ask you to drive the ball and jump on top of the net.
And create the havoc. The scrambling, because that's where McNerney just jumps on top of the net.
Well, Araya is exceptionally good at havoc, both in his personal life and on the court. Oh, that's a big ball right there for Pete. I don't mind the swing. It's his backhand. It's his bread and butter. 30 all. Just got to make that shot. Great play in there.
Score is deuce.
Rose Brothers making a lot of really good decisions now.
Look how deep their lobs are. So that stops McNerney from being able to create the havoc with all his spins.
Surprising miss there from Paul.
He's looking directly into the sun, though, on that shot. See where the shadows are on the court? that sun comes around the Glenview Club.
Point for 4-2. Oh, thought he missed that one.
I don't know what
Yep.
happened.
Called out.
Went
Ball
long?
kind of went through Pete Rose. Yeah, it
Scores
was long.
deuce.
Paul called it out.
Mentally,
Advantage Rose.
Compton McNerney need to regroup. They need to reset. It's hard to spike a ball from up there when you're
Scores
falling
deuce.
away from it. McNerney makes you take overheads from an he's hit from where he's taking his overheads. Makes you play the ball from uncomfortable heights in the backcourt. We can hit down up like that.
Yeah, John Milbank was very good at that too. That's a great backhand from Paul Rose there.
Oh,
And there McNerney got in Compton's way, and it's
Rose,
5-1.
Rose. They lead 5-1 first set.
You saw Compton kind of loading for that backhand. This will be the first three-setter we've shown this weekend, Jerry?
yes, yes. No, we did the super tie break for all the earlier rounds.
15 love.
Momentum is all Rose brothers right now.
Oh, that's no best way to give away the momentum than that.
15 all.
And a lot of short lobs from Compton McNerney. Been out of the service box
Yes.
once this point.
It's like they're reacting to the Rose brothers now instead of the other way around. They were forcing the plays in that first set. And again, I think it's just more a function of the Rose brothers staying with that formula.
Good shot.
Beautiful rip through the middle.
15 30.
You see McNerney had a position, but paddle always ready.
That's that break again. That's that same shot that we saw Paul Rose hit early in the first set.
2 points from the set.
And Mark, I think it's effective because his normal overhead kind of is a chop and it skips and stays low, and he prepares the paddle the same way. So when he hits that where it breaks, it's a surprise.
That was not a good overhead right there.
But Compton is finding Pete Rose's forehand. getting 2 forehand volley errors.
Game, Compton,
Okay.
McNerney, Rose lead the second set 5-2.
That stops the
Compton, McNerney
5-game
won
run that the Rose brothers were on. And I think it's important for the third set to see Compton and McNerney kind of find their way, as you were saying. Yeah, I don't think this set is necessarily over. I mean, the paddle set never is. But I do think that it just in terms of momentum, I think Compton and McNerney kind of lost their way a little bit and have left the Rose brothers control the play a lot. And I look to see them kind of reassert themselves these next couple of games, win them or lose them.
All right, McNerney serving.
And a lot of their problems started the last time McNerney served. He faulted a couple times to start the game, kind of got them in the hole. Usually it's a very reliable serve.
Love.
They have got to lob deep.
Good backhand there from Pete.
30-15.
Another really good rip.
30 all.
Oh,
Boy, it's such a big point to get confused.
that was
on.
a costly
That was
confusion there.
Clearly Pete's ball. I don't know what Paul was doing up there. Little flippy forehand from McNerney causes the error. It's 5-3.
Excuse me, Rose lead 5-3 second set.
That was a weird game. It was a weird combination of points there.
Go!
Oh,
So, I mean, this kind of speed just favors Compton McNerney.
here it comes.
And it's the scramble. Now Compton McNerney are dictating play, and the Rose brothers, are just trying to play catch up. And that all started because they hit the ball too fast. They gave too much speed when they were at net to McNerney. Gotta maintain that slow, deep, off pace.
Boy, he's just ripping the ball now.
Yeah, but look how fast it's
30.
going. And the energy's back in Compton McNerney.
3 points in 50 seconds, a minute.
Just
Love,
the
40.
momentum shifts, just amazing.
It is part of the magic of the game.
Yeah, you just never give up. You never know. Just put the
15,
ball
40.
back one more time. Allow your opponents the opportunity to miss. And that's not playing keep alive. I mean, this is all offensive plays.
A little aggressive there in that backhand from Compton.
30, 40.
Back to 30, 40. 2 backhand misses in a row. It's interesting how deep in the court Compton starts. Most of the top returners are on top of the baseline.
Oh, nice move by McNerney.
He did have a look there, although I just think,
Rose,
well, he had a look. I think that's not the pace they want to play at, Jerry.
And also, like, his feet weren't set. Yes, he had a look, but there was no way that he was balanced to hit that shot down the line. And you're right. It starts the scramble. It starts the chase. Throw up the lob. Get your team back into the point. So they've clawed their way back from down 1-5 in the second set to back to 4-5.
And Jerry, that's a classic example of a shot that maybe Pete makes 3 or 4 or 2 times out of 10. But at this level, that's not good enough. That's why you got to lob that ball, because it goes against your tempo, and it's a bad percentage play.
That's it. It's about playing within yourself. That awareness. It's so easy to get caught up in the pace and the razzle dazzle. You know, you got to be a great problem solver and understand, you know, what was working and try to maintain that. I don't understand that. I don't understand what to give the pace to Compton's backhand. They must have a play in mind that I'm not seeing.
Just no reason for it. McNerney missed the volley.
15 all.
You know, obviously all these guys know each other's games inside and out. Gotta watch the speed.
That whole point started, a great pickup from Pete. That whole point started with that little vying backhand that McNerney hit. Created the chase, as you like to call it.
Go!
Now it's McNerney hitting those overheads. A big point.
Again, same thing you talked about earlier, Jerry. He's fading to his left, trying to spike that ball. I remember when Max LeBavere started playing, he missed that shot so consistently.
So as tempting as it is when you're off balance and you're in the motion of hitting a spike, you're going to realize you're falling to your left and just push it back up again. Just wait for a better shot. The speed of play is back to Compton McNerney style.
Oh, that one crawled over the net. They're going to switch the backcourt.
Yep. Now you see Compton looking for that ball in the middle. He is going to pounce if they miss those overheads. any more closer to the center line. Look, you
see
can
how
see
few
the three
balls.
boards. Sorry, Matt?
I was saying McNerney hit so many balls off the deck, stealing time from them. Oh, what a volley from Compton. And then
God.
Paul Rose had the answer. She makes great use of that block lob, Jerry.
Yeah, it takes away time. But again, look at where these overheads are going. And watch Compton.
Oh, that one was close.
Oh, what a volley. Wow. Oh, Compton ripped that backhand.
Oh, spectacular point, ends with a routine error.
40-15.
Paul's feet just weren't back enough. He needed to take one more step and get himself balanced.
Compton hits the ball on the move so well, Jerry, something you don't normally recommend.
2 points there. Opportunities here to tie up the set. A lunging lob.
Wow. Speaking of routine errors.
40-30.
Again, it was the feet, no footwork. I mean, it's just relying on his hands, and still a point.
Paul's bread and butter just kind of got jammed by that. Didn't move the feet again. And after 5 in a row for the Rose brothers, it's 4 in a row for Compton McNerney. Boy, this match is as up and down as it gets, Jerry.
Yeah.
I think I cursed them when I mentioned the third set.
15 love.
Long way to go this set, though.
Yeah, so interesting. Just how you can just see how a couple of little things just turn the whole momentum around. And it's all about the pace. Compton McNerney want to play fast, want the hard balls, want to generate that chase. And when Pete and Paul manage the speed of play and manage that placement, they've got a shot. So for me, it's all about them being able to keep the pace, keep the speed of play. Because Compton can hurt you off of the deck, that two-handed backhand like you said, and McNerney's hurting them at net.
Go!
Been a really high quality match, Jerry.
Yep, and listen to the sound of Pete's voice when he's calling Paul to hit the overhead. The better the lob, the louder he calls.
Go.
McNerney's just hitting great combination of placement on the lobs, pushes that one wide. I
30
kept my
love.
mouth shut. He was really doing a good job of moving them around.
Oh!
40 love.
It's not exactly the way you want to draw it up for Great shot, but that down-up overhead just gets you in trouble so often.
McNerney is really good off of that back screen, off of a high ball.
This would be a really tough game for the Rose brothers to lose from 40 love.
Oh! Cannot underestimate the hands of McNerney. He can flick it off the deck. Quick. Oh!
Almost knocked Paul Rose over.
How about that?
That one wide. Wow, Compton is just ripping the ball right now.
Yeah. They got to take him out of play. Cannot give him a ball right now.
This is going to be a dicey serve and come in. Who's up to the test
watch
there?
it. Yep, they got to watch that speed of the overhead.
That was perfectly timed with Pete Rose's backhand volley.
Now they got to find those 3 boards again. And McNerney and Compton are making it difficult for them to find those 3 boards because of the placement of their shots and the combination of their shots.
And this is exactly what we talked about in our Viking Keys to Victory. New rolls, and you see McNerney trying to get the ball to Compton with those soft drives and lobs, and that ball right there. Okay, so McNerney finds a soft shot, pops it up.
They lead the second
Compton hits
set,
the
6-5.
forehand, and they miss in transition, and they'll serve for the match and the title, Jerry.
How about that energy, that confidence spark that we saw come out of Compton? Like, just bullet after bullet after bullet.
But you
All
also
set
saw
up.
McNerney playing his role perfectly that game.
I was just going to say, all set up by McNerney, by jerking them around and picking those spots and just being content to play within himself and not take the big shot. And then Pete and Paul just adding too much speed.
Reminds me a little bit of a team I used to watch called Airy Viant. Where Viant in the news court would hit all these block lobs and soft balls, and you'd just be ready to fall down after a while, and then Sue would clean things up.
It's all in the chase, right?
All in the chase. Okay, McNerney to serve for the title.
Low 15.
Dig there. Really good angle at it. Mistakes from Compton McNerney here. That one forced.
McNerney
missed that.
Yeah, I thought it was wide too, but McNerney just does such a good job of keeping that overhead back deep when he's outside of the service box. Look at that. Nice speed by Pete there. He didn't overswing. So he got it through the players, but not hard enough that they were able to run it down off the back screen.
So just to remind everybody, this is a full 3-set match with a tiebreaker at 6-all in the third. We are not playing the abbreviated scoring. Just can't give those away. They had 40 love last game, Jerry. Great point. There it is. We'll play a tiebreak for the second set.
Rose.
The beginning of that point, though, it was all McNerney, like fast cut speed, and he's just sort of complete keep alive by the Rose brothers until they were able to get that other lob up and turn it around.
Jerry, before they start the tiebreak, I just want to call out John Noble again for the fantastic job he's done this weekend with the different strategies of keeping the players in pods, keeping the men and women separate, being prepared for any contact tracing if someone did test positive, knowing where everybody was at once. And it's that type of attention to detail and diligence that enables us to do these things, which are so difficult in these COVID times.
Yes, commendable. All right, here we go, Mark.
This will be a 12-point tiebreak, first to 7, win by 2. And not surprisingly, Compton just crushes a forehand throw. I'm surprised the Rose brothers have not adjusted at all to Compton, done some I formation, some Australian, some staying back. It's just been all meat and potatoes, serve and come in. And he has really hurt them with his return to serve for the last half hour.
It's important for the Rose brothers. It's a clean slate just to forget that they were up 5-1 in that set.
Jerry, what time is your flight home from Chicago? A little shorter commute for you than usual. Oh, what a folly!
Nice.
And then the insincere apology. Did you notice that? The way he held up his hand, like pretending to be sorry that he just hit a winner?
He might be. He might have just been preferred to hit a clean shot. It's unusual to see Paul's return to serve where he is centered. Most players set up, like you said, up on the baseline, but centered and have their racket ready for whichever side is their strongest return. But Paul is centered, ready to go either way.
Amazing. It takes such footwork and hand speed to be able to do that. The person I remember being best at it was David Caldwell. Oh, was he good at that? Probably the best player never to win a Nationals. Okay, Rose brothers in a little bit of trouble here. Good trail by McNerney there to help, but Compton doesn't need him. There's that little soft backhand McNerney's hit so effectively today.
Again, look at the combination of shots and spots that McNerney hits the ball. And he's just got both Pete and Paul chasing. They're always chasing his shots. And he has that, McNerney has that little flick, half volley lob off the deck takes away time, but not only that, he's so accurate with it.
Yeah, just a lot of misses from the Rose brothers all of a sudden.
5 serving 1.
2 return of serves and an attempted cut. There you see McNerney just jumping all over the net when he saw Pete Rose going to drive that ball. Compton was in perfect position to know the ball was wide because he was standing against the side wire.
He learned from yesterday. He doesn't want to be anywhere near McNerney's paddle when he's setting up for that overhead.
And that takes us to the rare quintuple match point, Jerry.
Go. Go.
That's just a spectacular low drive from Compton. Game, set, match. Compton, McNerney, 6-2, 7-6. Great stuff, Jerry.
That was a really entertaining match, Mark. I mean, I love just to see the ebb and flow of the momentum of a match and the execution strategy. And I thought, you know, we could see clearly what was happening while it was happening and which teams backed down and which teams picked up as it was happening. Really, the strategy. I mean, you know Graham McNerney has studied and can give you stats on everything. And there's one thing to know it, but there's another thing to be able to execute it. And he's worked really hard at his game. Even just from last year, we didn't see any of his drop / backhand volleys that we saw in Indy. You know, the ball came back over the net because I think the Rose brothers did a good job of not giving him any floaters. But man, when they lobbed short, they got punished by his variety.
Yeah, his overhead, which was such a huge factor last night, was less of a factor today.
And Compton, I love to watch him come up that side screen and hit the backhand, but the Rose brothers pretty much took that play out, and then he's able to generate just as many offense opportunities off of his forehand.
Well, it's interesting because the Rose brothers took away 2 of the things that Compton and McNerney do exceptionally well. They took away the backhand off the deck from McNerney, from Compton, and they took away the McNerney overhead, and yet they still were unable to win, which gives you an idea of the depth of talent and the margin of error that Compton and McNerney brought to play.
Right, but don't you think a large part too was because the Rose brothers got away from their own speed of play?
Yep.
And they kind of did that to themselves. When they started to get too quick with the overhead and gave more pace and more shots to Compton, he hurt them. It was just
and we're hoping to get an interview with our winners in the next few minutes. But it's going to be interesting to see, Jerry, where Brian Compton lands this year. Maybe we'll ask him that question because he does not have a regular partner right now. He played last year with Scott Kaler.
That's what I was going to ask you. What was that? I think they had decided not to play. It's not just a function of not being able to travel.
Yes, I think that Compton felt like they just were not good enough to win nationals together. And he kind of moved on without a regular partner because I do think Brian Compton has a national championship in his future with the right partner.
Oh, he's definitely great athlete, good racket skills. And that last piece, that learning, that strategy, seeing the court, having the right strategy, and then mentally being able to hang in there and play those big points.
And boy, did they play those big points well.
Yeah, they did. I think that's John Noble down there on the right, isn't it? On the left?
Yep. Red jacket. See, they have some tables set up outside because the huts are closed. COVID issues. I don't want to overstate it, but it's just amazing what they're able to pull off this weekend. I mean, this tournament was in jeopardy right up to midweek.
Yeah. Well, even just down to what they did yesterday. Like normally, we would play be able to stream the men's round of 16 in between the women's semifinals and the finals. But he used more clubs and kept the guys playing at the other clubs until he knew that the women had finished playing the semis and the finals and had moved away from the club. So he was very aware of all the logistics that had to happen.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to have an interview with our winners. Brian, Graham, congratulations.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
2020 Chicago Charities champions. Graham, how's the knee feeling? It looked like it was starting to bother you a little bit early second set. I saw you stretching it out a little bit.
Yeah, I made one move, I think, at 1-2, where I kind of got stuck. I jammed it a little bit, but I was trying not to show how bad it hurt, but it slowly loosened up. But yeah, I think it's the right call to stop playing for a while and get it taken care of.
So tell us about that. You're going in for arthroscopic surgery?
Yeah, I got cartilage issues underneath the kneecap, so getting it scoped in like 10 days, and then I'll be out for a couple months and hopefully be back pain-free for the second half of the year.
Okay, well, we're hoping that's going to work for you. And Brian, who are we going to see you with next? Because it's a lot of fun to see you on the court.
Thanks. I'm going to play with a couple buddies from the Chicago area over the next month or two in Indianapolis and where else? In Hinsdale in February. But given the unpredictability of the season, I'm just happy to be out here and complete a tournament and have a lot of fun out here with Graham.
Now, guys, you're down 2-love. You win 6 games in a row or 7 games in a row to go up 1-love in the second, and then you lose 5 games in a row. What do you attribute all the change in momentum we saw today?
Yeah, I thought even down 2-love, we were playing great points. We were still in it the whole time. They just won the 2 points in a row to finish out the game. So I think it was just stick to the strategy, try to create a little bit more action out there. I think credit to Brian, the big change we made. Instead of playing slow through Pete and just waiting for him to get the right ball, it was go with Paul, take our chances, create a little bit of chaos, and hope things speed up a little bit, because they're so good when things are static at the net and at the baseline. So once we injected a little bit of unpredictability into it, I think kind of changed it around, and then it slowed back down again. And then he told me the same thing again, like, let's play aggressive, make him beat us, and make things happen, and it worked out really well for us.
Graham, this is Jerry. That's exactly what we saw.
Yeah.
Exactly what we saw was when they actually played at their pace and slowed it down. And then when you picked up the pace and generated the chaos, and then it showcased your spin overhead. And I was waiting for a highlight snippet. I wanted to see that backhand drop shot come back over the net, but they didn't give you any floaters.
No.
They didn't.
Those guys volleyed so well, they
Right.
lobbed so well over the course of the match that it seemed like we were always playing off our heels when we were at net. So we tried to speed it up a little bit and be quick to give up the net if we had to, because it's kind of scary at times to be up the net against that team.
And Brian, I can see tremendous improvement in your forehand. I mean, you're known for your backhand, off the deck coming up that side screen, but your forehand today, man alive, you loaded up your legs, your paddle was so early. How much time have you spent on the court practicing?
Oh, that's nice of you to say, Jerry. Well, I can credit the guys here in Chicago for helping me sharpen up that forehand, because when I go out and play practice match anymore, no one hits me a backhand. So I decided that instead of just lobbing my forehand and playing good defense, that I was going to start swinging at it. So I've tried to pick it up a little bit and make myself relevant on the court, especially in a match like this where I see it's not really my responsibility to do anything when we're up at net, other than just try to make every volley and give Graham every opportunity to be aggressive. Credit those guys for lobbing well, but when we were in the backcourt, I just wanted to put consistent, sustained pressure on those guys and try to make them hit a lot of tough volleys.
Yeah, at the net, I wouldn't sell yourself. Wouldn't sell yourself short, Brian. You had to get out of Graham's way a couple of times.
Yeah, I have to be quick up there.
That and his roller was great into Pete. I think we only got caught once, and it made him really uncomfortable. And the second set, it was tough because it got really windy, so I couldn't really get my feet underneath us. So it was tough to really generate spin. So it was more hard over its side screen or using the middle or his rollers. So, yeah, he did a great job, and I thought that was a good kind of change of pace. Instead of just waiting for spinners, it kind of injected a little bit of that chaos we were talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, you made them pay if they missed in the backcourt. If they missed by 2 or 3 boards, Brian, we could see you starting to come over, and then when you hit like 2 or 3 forehands in a row, and Graham's grin on his face was so big.
Listen, I don't want to do anything back there. It's fun to watch.
No.
If I can lob, hide in the alley, and then we go to the net and reverse it, I'm good. Playing with Madik, that's my happy spot back there in the green.
No. You created the movement that got him the looks, but it was just fun to see the power coming out of the forehand side. So it was a really, really fun match to watch and call. So congratulations, you guys.
Thanks
a lot, guys. Real quick, while I have the mic, I just want to thank Mark and Jerry for giving up their weekends to help commentate and teach and help people learn the game that we all love. So I appreciate everything that you guys do. Thanks.
That's really nice to hear.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Okay, 2020 Chicago Charities champions, Brian Compton and Graham McNerney.
All right, so Mark, we're going to. I just want to say a couple of thank yous because there's a lot of people that behind the scenes really help us. You know, we've, as well as the ENET crew who are doing this remotely with us, the APTA staff, Amin Kaduri, Ann Sheedy, Isabel Caban, Nindy Pike, Debbie Scully, and all the behind-the-scene volunteers that help us. And they spend countless hours making this happen. Tour director Jackie Cameron, board members Damien Johnson and Ann Waldron, who's helping with our live stream and assisting me with the logistics. I mean, there really are a lot of people. And, of course, I want to thank our fellow commentators, having a little bit of an issue getting us all on, but hopefully we'll be able to participate. Mark, with you, and Brad, Lauren, and Patty's going to come on board. So it's really a big team effort, and we're just thrilled to be able to bring these Grand Prix Tour live streaming to everybody, and we look forward to seeing everybody in a couple of weeks. What's that, December 4th and 5th?
December 4th and 5th in Long Island, and I can say unequivocally, Jerry, it was a great weekend.
Thanks, Mark.
And thank you to all your work on this. It's been tireless, and the cameras and the remote commentary. It's a big puzzle to pull off, and anybody else could do it as well as you do.
Oh, thanks, Mark. All right, and that is a wrap. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.